The Madurai bench of the Madras High Court is pushing for legislation to regulate internet usage by children, citing concerns over social media misuse and the need to protect young users. The court suggested that India could follow Australia's lead, which recently, remember, banned social media for children under 16. Until such a law is framed, state governments are urged to create awareness plans on child rights and safe internet practices. The court's recommendation comes amid growing worries about children's exposure to harmful online content. This includes pornography and child sexual abuse material online. So, Justice G. Jayachandra and Justice K.K. Ramakrishnan emphasized parental responsibility in safeguarding children, highlighting the importance of parental control apps on devices as well. So, the debate around banning social media for kids is gaining traction, with proponents arguing it shields children from cyberbullying and harmful algorithms. On the flip side, critics argue that teens may bypass bans using VPNs or fake ages, potentially exposing them to darker online spaces with less oversight. Those in favor argue that a blockade like this would ultimately boost mental health by reducing anxiety, depression, and self-harm. The argument against such a law is that vulnerable youth might also be isolated from crucial support communities and information, and that could exacerbate their situation. So, by limiting access, governments can counter addictive platform designs, reducing excessive screen time and promoting healthier digital habits. But the age verification processes required for such bans raise more concerns about invasive surveillance, normalizing a level of monitoring that's hard to reconcile with democratic values. So, such a ban could also hold platforms accountable, forcing them to implement better child safety measures. But restricting access could hinder teens' ability to express themselves and engage in democratic discourse. Listen in to what Australia's Prime Minister Anthony Albanese had to say when he announced the ban.
This is indeed a proud day to be Australian, because make no mistake, this reform will change lives for Australian kids and allowing them to just have their childhood, for Australian parents enabling them to have greater peace of mind, but also for the global community who are looking at Australia and saying, well, if Australia can do it, why can't we?
Joined in by Ashutosh Srivastava, who's a renowned lawyer at the Supreme Court. Thank you so much, Ashutosh, for joining in. Let's talk about this parental sort of block that we are talking about, which will perhaps be able to ensure that parents are able to guide their children better. But when you talk about bringing that into, say, the internet services, how can that be ensured?
See, I think completely blocking the children from use of internet, would be somewhat difficult, considering that as we have seen
this especially when education is heavily turning
yes,
online.
of course, yes. For instance, in Delhi, if we see due to the pollution and such factors, many of the schools have gone online, and children have been told, to have online classes to so that the pollution can be controlled at the same time. Now, if we see, the Australia, which has recently passed an act, legislation in December 2025 itself. As per that, they have completely banned the use of internet or the social media by the children, below the age of 16. Now, the question arises whether the same rule can be applied here, because we have this DPDP Act, Digital Personal Data Protection Act, which was framed in 2023. And in that act as well, the children have been covered, that they, considering their age, they should not be, supposed to be bullied by others.
And but so clearly all of that is rampantly happening. There is cyberbullying. There is pedophilia, there's exposure to online pornography, all of that is happening.
So, yes, and a parent consent is also required there, what law we have in hand at the moment. And as per the consent only, the child's any sort of information can be fed into the social media. So these factors are already there. However, there is no age factor as such mentioned. And if you see the many of the other countries also, like France, Germany, Spain, so they also have made certain laws by which they are trying to regulate, the the kind of contents the children would be using through internet. So I think instead regulation should be the first criteria instead of completely banning it. And the High Court has clearly told the center also to to consider what best can be done in the interest of the children. And I think even the rights commissions which were formed under our National Commission, Protection of Child Rights Act 2005. So they should also do their duties. This is what the High Court has stated, that you must perform your duties. You have been formed to look after the children, their welfare, and also that they should not be, exposed to such kind of use of the, certain social media, or to the pornography, or to any such material which could cause severe mental, losses to the
Okay.
children in our country.
I can see Pavan Duggal and Kasturi Shankar, who is an actor, has also joined in. Thank you for joining in. Kasturi, if I could quickly come to you. When we talk about behavioral change, it's not a sprint. It has to be a marathon-like approach, whether it comes to, say, controlling speed limits or bringing in, say, changes for issues like drinking, smoking. And similarly, when you talk about consumption of social media content for children, what do you think is the best option? Because we've observed that in Britain, the Online Safety Act was introduced and there was an immediate spike in VPNs. So why wouldn't children in India also learn to circumvent the law?
Absolutely, you actually hit the nail on its head. I'm here not just as as somebody in the social spotlight, in the public spotlight. I'm here more as the mother of a teenage boy.
Appreciate.
And I actually discussed this very question with him. I said, what do you think about what they have proposed in Australia? And he says his point of view is that all these rules are not going to make a difference unless it's the execution that matters. You can have 100 rules on paper, but how you enforce them and how you implement them is what really makes the difference. So I'm of the opinion that an awareness campaign would do a lot more good than having obscure laws that no one knows about. Now, if you let's say we have an age limit on children, Instagram, I believe, already has an age limit where you have to be 13 or over to be part of Instagram.
In fact, we started introducing teen accounts also. I think there's a separate platform for teenagers.
we have baby accounts purportedly run by their parents. So, adults are actually showing how to circumvent the rules anyway. So it's always about, these rules are very good. हमारे पड़ोसन के बेटी बच्चों के लिए ये तो बहुत अच्छे rules है, मेरे लिए नहीं. I don't need to follow the rules. So we have adults who will show their children how to circumvent the rules.
Okay, stay with me, Kasturi. I also quickly want to bring in Pavan Duggal, who's a cybersecurity lawyer as well. So, Mr. Duggal, in your opinion, whether it comes to, say, robust age verification, ensuring there is teenage-friendly content served online, how can social media platforms ensure this?
Well, social media platforms in India are governed by the IT Act. They are only for the due diligence.
All right, I seem to be losing that connection with you. I may, if I may take that forward with, all right, Mr. Duggal's back. Yes, please go ahead, sir.
Hi, I hope I'm audible now.
Now you are. Yes, please go ahead.
So I'm trying to say the intermediaries in India are covered under the IT Act. They're required to exercise due diligence. They do that by following the IT rules 2021. The only problem is for protecting children below the age of 18, there are no specific requirements, nor there are specific due diligence parameters. Hence, expecting them to do something proactively may not necessarily be happening. Why? Because they don't want to spend the time. They don't want to do anything which can upset their economic model. That, having said that, I think the need is very, very important to protect the childhood of Indian children. The only problem is the cat is out of the bag. The children already have now taste of social media. So if you want to go ahead and replicate what Australia has done, good luck to you, because I don't think that's going to happen in any case. Because Indian children are going to find 10 different indirect ways to access the said blocked websites. In
So,
any case, blocking has told us that
but
blocking
Mr.
doesn't work in India.
Dugal, many are asking the question, is social media robbing children of their childhood? And, there are concerned parents like me as well. And we do believe that these tech companies, primarily Facebook, Instagram, for Mark Zuckerberg, it's all about profit. They should also be taken to action. And when you talk about this kind of parental window, which is now being introduced, do you think that's a viable option?
That's a much viable option for the government to take effective action against the intermediaries. Problem is, we're all now dealing them with soft gloves. We've never really taken any effective action against intermediaries. Once we take action against them, once we mandate new parameters for due diligence for protecting the childhood of Indian children, then to a large extent, they will be duty bound to follow. If they don't follow, they're actually going ahead and losing their statutory exemption from legal liability. So either way, that's the best way forward. So the onus first has to go to the government. It needs to come up with new due diligence mechanism. The onus needs to come up on the government for enforcing these due diligence parameters. And the onus also needs to be upon the parents. Let's try to sensitize our children that, look, there are the pitfalls, the downsides that are waiting for you. So it's going to be a holistic 360-degree viewpoint that will have to be taken. Everybody will have to contribute. But if you're telling the children, sorry, nothing from social media from tomorrow, they're going to revolt. So that's not going to happen. The better thing is to win their confidence, talk to them as friends, and hope the government comes up with strong norms, following what norms are given in Australia, so that the childhood of Indian children can be protected and preserved in the coming times.
Kasturi, would you like to weigh in on what Mr. Dugal has just said?
Oh, I thought he was extremely lucid and made such valid points. I'm all for safety. I believe that laws which oversee safety of children, preventing grooming or any kind of scams and sexual activity online with children, we see a lot of that these days. Any kind of regulation is welcome. But again, as I said, it's not the regulation that is going to protect our children. It's the implementation of those laws that's going to protect our children. Also, the flip side of it is, if you take a blanket ban, which will not work anyway, you blanket ban something, I think that will actually increase interest in the product and people will start going after it with renewed gusto. It also takes away the safe spaces of children with special needs who don't have opportunity or access to physical social interactions. So, you can't do a blanket ban just based on age. I think it has to be need based, it has to be there are a lot of factors. Every educational qualification,
Okay.
parents' educational qualification. So, frankly, safety is welcome, but let's not become a license raj where the government is just harassing business owners and product brand managers with another license to pander for.
All right. I want to give quick closing thoughts to Ashutosh Srivastav as well on that note. Ashutosh, if I could quickly bring you in on that note with quick closing thoughts about how, in your view, do you think, how much of an impact will the parental window have on this suggestion? Do you think that that will be able to sort of curb the kind of adverse effects we've seen, whether it comes to, say, mental health issues, adding to the anxiety, the depression, the doom scrolling that teenagers are now being subjected to?
Yes, yes, this is a very important factor in today's times. But I feel that the internet is equally important and useful for the children for their education. But at the same time, use of certain content in the internet could be harmful to them. So there has to be some level of balancing. That there has to be some regulation by which the contents are to be verified, and it should be regulated what is being shown to the children, and they should have limited use of the internet related to their education, considering the today's modern era of the education and the kind of knowledge what they gain through the internet. So
Okay.
everything is equally important. But banning completely, I think, would be somewhat harsh and difficult for the children in today's modern times to study also at the same time. But they
Absolutely,
should.
but I'm
They,
sure Australia is going to prove to be an interesting case study, given that these tech companies for the longest time have been decrying censorship. They're saying that this is a blanket ban on free speech, but can that be implied to say children below the age of 18 is the key critical question, at least for our country and our own cultural ethos as well. But thank you so much for sharing those balanced insights, all of you, Mr. Duggal included, and of course Kasturi as well. Thank you for sharing your input.